Hey guys, welcome back to our food photography video series on the 7 elements of photography, where I'll be unpacking the secrets of actually creating good composition that will help you create all those food photos that make people stop, stare, and drool over your images. So if amping up your food photography is something you're interested in, or you're simply looking to get started, then 100% stick with me today and you'll pick something up for sure. Let's go. Hey guys, it's me, Michael Edwards, and welcome back to Food Flash Photography, our small Caribbean-based food photography studio where we try to feed you through your eyes and help you guys start taking better food photos on your own. In this video, we'll be talking about the second element of photography, shapes, and how we can use them to compose or create a photo. Last week, we talked about the line, the most fundamental of the 7 elements. We talked about what they are, the visual psychology behind them, and some practical applications of that theory. So make sure to check out that video as well. Today, we'll be following a similar template. One of the first lessons I learned when I started my journey into photographic composition and lighting was about the 4 basic shapes that make up the world we live in today. In everything you see, a circle, square, rectangle, or triangle exists as part of its design. The shape of your monitor, the table it's on, the shape of your coffee mug, can all be boiled down to one of the basic 4 shapes. Becoming aware of these shapes is the first mental door that you would need to unlock. As a photographer, your capability to take conscious control over the utility of something like a shape can most definitely affect the quality of the work that you produce. Jane Allen, she described it in a really nice way. There are 2 ways of looking at shape in photography composition: the actual precise shape of objects, and then there is the general shape formed by an object or group of objects in an image. So what does this mean? In this image, you can see that our main subject, the cocoa balls, they are round. They are circular. This is their precise shape. However, as a collective, our subject suddenly takes the form of a triangle. This is the implied shape of our composition. So why does it matter if the cocoa balls are circular or if they are collectively a triangle? Why and how do shapes make for a better photo? Well, remember, shapes, just like the simple line and all the other elements of photography, are tools that we use to create better compositions. And the success of those compositions will determine how well a photographer leads the viewer's eye intentionally around the frame and how well they can invoke feelings within the viewer. Composition is an important part of the foundation on which the success of an image is based and the foundation on which shapes are used. So just like we mentioned in our discussion of lines, shapes also have subconscious meanings that we as people have attached to them. As a rule of thumb, a composition influenced by a typical square, rectangle, or upward triangle will make a photo feel more stable or static and overall more balanced. Whereas circles and non-upright triangles just like diagonal lines, tend to introduce a sense of energy or motion into photographs, and in my opinion, are more fun to view and interact with. Let's look at some more real examples of how I've used shapes in my food photography career. Using shapes for repetition. This is probably the easiest use of shapes compositionally in food photography. Repetition of similarly looking elements in a photo often makes for grabbing images because we as people are naturally drawn to patterns and symmetrical things. This is from a blog post I read preparing for this video. It was written by a guy named Richard Burnaby, and I thought he summed up this concept of repetition in a pretty relatable way. So he says that repetition is pleasing to the eye in much the same way that rhythm is pleasing to the ear in music. The eye tends to follow repetition, giving a sense of movement in the image. In the same way, your head and body just seem to move when your favorite tune comes on, people's eyes and brains also become excited when shown items laid out in pattern. 2. Juxtapose elements within a frame. Sometimes, placing a foreign shape amongst several other similarly shaped things is a great way to create a contrast between subjects in a scene. Take this photo of a tall glass of orange juice surrounded by some oranges. As you can see, the supporting elements, the oranges, they are all circular, but the glass itself stands tall and singular above them as a rectangle. Here, shapes help bring emphasis to the main subject. By involving these different shapes, we now control what the photo is about, emphasizing the elements that need to be emphasized and guiding the viewer's eye directly to the glass. 3. Creating a frame. Now, sharpening this skill has been especially useful in my food photography journey. Framing is an extremely potent form of utilizing shapes in photography to create separation, draw attention, and invoke emotion. Here we have a more traditional form of using shapes to frame your subject in food photography. I've composed the image so that the subject is clearly framed by the plate. This gives much needed separation of the hero food from all the white canvas and helps keep your eye within the circular, or in this case, semicircular portion of the photo. This next photo, this one was a fun studio shoot. Here, I've intentionally placed the leaves to create a triangular frame around the subject. The primary driving force behind using shapes in this way is simply because this is how the tea leaves behave in real life. And by incorporating this into the image, the composition, in my opinion, is now strengthened, as it completely leads your eye to the main subject. It almost acts as a doorway into the photograph. Imagine now if the leaves were not there at all. In my opinion, the photo would immediately become less interesting and we would lose the added emphasis on the main subject created by our triangular frame. 4. Implied shape. Just like implied lines are some of my favorite tools for creating an image, implied shapes aren't actually there, but with conscious and careful positioning of subjects within a frame, a photographer can still guide your eye through an image by creating these imaginary shapes. This is a self-study photo I created while testing out soft light modifiers. Collectively, each subject, the carrots, the tomatoes, the peppers, etc., are all unified as a complete scene. But if you look closer, you can see that individual food groups have been arranged in a very specific way. The implied shape of the upright triangles does a few things for this image. First, it creates pockets of visual interest as each triangle provides an individual space for your eyes to rest. Secondly, it provides a pathway for your eyes to travel across the image as they subconsciously bounce from one triangular shape to the other. And thirdly, the triangles provide a sense of stability. Note that even though the vegetables are stacked on top of each other, they still feel well balanced and secure. If, for example, we attempted to use the shapes of a right angle triangle, let's say, to stack the veggies, they would feel a bit more off balanced, as if they were about to tip over. Consciously, you do not see the shapes, but subconsciously they exist, and your eyes are allowed to follow that movement. Now, personally, I love the use of triangles in my work. The orientation of the diagonal sides of this shape really help to give the image a pleasing flow of visual movement and naturally ties in with the organic nature of food that we so predominantly photograph. Alright guys, well, this brings us to the end of this video. The next time you take a food photo, I really want you to consider what shapes you can find or make within your composition, and if you could and should use them in your image. Think of it this way. If your photo does not have a roadmap for your viewer's eye to travel and explore within your frame, they'll just travel right on to the next person's photo. Okay guys, so that's all I have for you today. Super thank you for coming along and learning with me. I really do appreciate you giving me your time. I hope this was useful, and I will definitely catch you in the next one. Peace.